If you didn't think the Minnesota Vikings were flying high after the win over the Dolphins today,
Let's go. Turkey.
then you would be mistaken. We're going to break down the Miami Dolphins game right after this. Your Minnesota Vikings survived the heat and humidity in Miami, as well as a little bit of sloppy first half football, to come away with a 24-16 victory over the Miami Dolphins, get to 5-1 heading into the bye week here.
Let's go.
There's a lot to talk about in this game. It was one of those games. It's every game this year has just been so dang frustrating but they always find a way to pull it out and come out with a win. At the end of the day, 5-1 at the bye week with the Packers losing to the Jets 2-3. The Vikings have a full 2-game lead plus head-to-head as of right now over the Packers. You're going to take that 10 times out of 10, 100% of the time.
Easy.
So I don't know, man. As frustrating as this team can be this year, they're finding ways to win. As I said, I put it out on a tweet after the game. It feels as frustrating as some of the last couple seasons, but the fact that that they're at 5-1 is what you really care about. The frustration's fine. It's not easy to win a game in the NFL, as we all know, especially against a really good Miami team on the road.
Right, so, exactly.
The dubs are hard, but you're gonna take them. And obviously, you played Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater. Neither are Tua, but they're both still NFL quarterbacks. And the fact that you found a way to win this game, even with what happened in the first half, it's fun. And this is what it's all about. It's all about winning football games, and it builds character. And now you got the bye week to reflect on what you've done so far and what you can fix, and come out against an Arizona team that, as of right now, is a little bit down. But obviously, we'll talk about Miami right now. I did want to start out. Normally, do it at the end of the video. I don't know how many of you are here to listen to us talk about it, but let's do a small shout out for special teams. Greg Joseph, first off, up and down game. Obviously, the field goal is good. Missed an extra point, which is a little bit frustrating. Hopefully he can figure that out quick here. But Ryan Wright, man, what did he have? Let's see here. 10 punts for, I believe it was 10 punts for 441 yards, and that 73-yard bomb to flip field position in the first half there, man. Incredible. The special teams as well, sniffing out the fake punt. Josh Metellus making a key tackle to get the ball back. Sure, we didn't do a lot with it, but it is what it is. After a down game last week, special teams came out and played huge this week. Just wanted to give them a quick little shout out here. But as we all know, offensively, it was a slow start. It was a slow start for sure. I believe we went 0-4 or 4 3-and-outs in a row to start the game. We couldn't get anything going offensively. I love Kevin O'Connell, but I feel like this is one of his weaker play calling games so far this year. It felt like everything that went right last week, we just kind of scrapped this week and tried doing something different. But yeah, it was a little frustrating to start, obviously, as I said, but after a while they did end up figuring it out.
Yeah. And that's funny. So back to Ryan Wright real quick, 10 punts. So that kind of shows you how our offense played most of the time. I believe that 10 punts was the most punts by any teams this season. Obviously there was drives that we ended up having, most specifically in the second half, right? I don't know. What did we do in the second half specifically, where, it looked good or whatever, but for the most part, it was either we had a couple drives that went really well, or we went 3-and-out and had to punt the ball. Obviously it didn't matter. We still won. And even though it was a slow start, especially on offense, it still was also kind of slow on defense. In the beginning, the first two drives, which we got saved by like 10 penalties from Miami on their second drive. But after that, man, our defense really stepped up. We talked about needing to get to the quarterback this game, and we did. Za'Darius Smith was a monster. And man, I would have said player of the game, but that forced fumble by Harrison Smith was, I don't know. It is definitely between them two for player of the game, because besides Za'Darius Smith, 2 sacks, which I thought for sure he had more than 2 sacks this game. He definitely put on the pressure that entire game. And I believe, what did we have we had about 6 sacks overall, I believe.
Six sacks. Yep.
So we came in here, we needed to put pressure on, well, what we thought was going to be Skylar Thompson. But we went up against Miami. So that's the thing overall about this game. We're against a really good Miami team, a Miami team that beat the Bills. Yes, no Tua, And we started the game against a third-string rookie quarterback in Skylar Thompson, but he was pretty much out for most of the game. And Teddy Bridgewater came in, and Teddy Bridgewater, as we know, is a serviceable backup quarterback. So even with him in there, it's like with Teddy in there and no Tua, that is still a really good team. That is better than the team that is ran by Skylar Thompson, I think, for sure. So I don't think we should hold ourselves short and act like we're playing against someone that's just without Tua. This is a really good team with two huge playmakers in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I mean, well, I'm sure we'll go down to them eventually, but yeah, I mean, that's a huge win. That's a really good team that even though it wasn't perfect, like we're still waiting for that game where we can win in all three phases, no questions asked. Again, special teams and defense stepped up this week. Our offense didn't really step up as much as we'd like. They did, the big 2 turnovers. They did get some points off of them, which was huge for us. But yeah, overall, it's just nothing to be. We should all be definitely extremely excited. That's a good team. We're going into the bye week 5-1 against a good team that we handled. Outside of the 3 points that they scored in the beginning, the only time that they were in the lead, we didn't let them come back on us this entire game. We were the better team, and we still weren't firing on all cylinders like we'd like to. And that says something. That says that once we do, we're going to be a team that you definitely have to look out for. And I already think we are without that. And hopefully that's all we need is that to happen. And man, we should go deep into playoffs. We're definitely going to be a team people are sleeping on, especially because we haven't seen our full potential yet. That's what it's kind of feeling like. It's like, man, we're like better than these teams, but we haven't seen our full potential.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and I don't know. I'm pumped.
Yeah, and let's jump into that defense a little bit more as you talked about. So the 2 interceptions were huge. Patrick Peterson, Harrison Smith. Patrick Peterson had a really, really good game. A couple nice PBUs late in the game when we really, really needed him to step up. Fumble wise, yep, we did have. Yeah, the one that was the one that Cam Bynum recovered, I believe, right there. So yeah, defensively they were flying around. As you mentioned, 6 sacks. Za'Darius Smith, I am gonna say he was the player of the game on the defense.
Yeah, I think you could.
10 total pressures, 2 sacks out of it. He was in the backfield all day long. It was great to see. Danielle Hunter got up got in there for a sack as well near the end. Jordan Hicks had one. Patrick Jones. Let's talk about Patrick Jones a little bit here. So
stepped up.
I think if things keep playing out the way they are now, Danielle Hunter is off this team next year, and Patrick Jones is starting with DJ Wanham being a close second. If Za'Darius Smith stays, man, Patrick Jones, ever since the preseason, I've been a big fan of what Patrick Jones has been doing. And yeah, this was a breakout game for the kid, especially since he wasn't splitting time with DJ Wanham there. So absolutely, absolutely huge. But yeah, cornerback play. I don't know. I'm gonna chalk it down to Ed Donatel again.
Yeah, me too.
I still, 5-1, you don't want to make a lot of changes, but I wouldn't mind if he stayed in Miami, found a nice retirement home, and then find somebody else to take over on defense there. Obviously, we were playing the playing like that soft coverage, and it didn't feel like I'm sitting there thinking like Tyreek Hill, yeah, he's got a lot of catches, but is he really like what's he doing out there? And then they showed the stats, and I looked at it again right here, obviously 12 catches, 177 yards. Jalen Waddle with 6 catches for 129, obviously with the fumble at the end there. And for a team with 385 total passing yards, the fact that those two did most of the damage. Obviously, Gesicki with the 2 touchdowns did the gritty on the sidelines, which was stupid. You never mock a Viking celebration because we always find ways just to make you pay for it, which we did.
Yeah.
But the defense is still just one of those things that if I'm Kevin O'Connell, that's what I'm looking at the most in this on this bye week is how can I fix this defense? What can me and Donatel, if you're going to keep him, what can we do to tighten up? Because this, I don't know, man. And I was worried about this happening. I really was, and luckily it didn't hurt us as bad as it could have. But yeah, I don't know. It was with Tua. I think there would have been a lot more deep shots. But yeah, it was frustrating to watch at times. How just Tyreek Hill, we kept just leaving him open. And I get it. You keep him in front of you so he doesn't beat you deep. But yeah, we're like I said, we're lucky it didn't come back to bite us worse than it did and could have.
And it is, it's at the end of the day, it's Tyreek Hill and it's Jalen Waddle. They're really fast. And, it was when we added pressure to Teddy at the end, Teddy was kind of doing some Teddy stuff where he was able to get out and definitely find Tyreek Hill. But most of the game, when we were able to add pressure, things were not working well for them. And as soon as like we didn't, and we played off the wide receivers a little bit, they were able to march down the field on us. So it came a lot to the pressure, because it just feels like we still play too soft. We're covering too soft. We're playing too far off a lot of the wide receivers, and they are, especially, the biggest thing is when you're playing against a guy like Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle, they are so fast. You can only cover them. I don't care what cornerback you are in this league. You're only going to be able to cover Tyreek Hill for so long. You're not, otherwise he's going to be able to use his speed and he is going to get open. So we had no choice to put the pressure on him, so that wasn't going to happen. We knew that's what we had to do. And we really did step up in that way. But at the end of the day, you still allowed Teddy Bridgewater over about 330 yards, which we know Teddy Bridgewater, he's not really a 300-yard kind of quarterback. And even Skylar Thomas, before he got out, he was getting a lot more completions than he should have, and a lot more yards, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you're against two of the top wide receivers in the entire league. Tyreek Hill's arguably top 5 for sure. So I mean, you can only do so much as a defense. So at the end of the day, you could say the turnovers is what really helped our defense, but our defense played well overall. Our defense won us that game.
For sure. Yeah.
So I mean, you got to tip your cap to the defense in general, not to Donatel completely, but part of that is still his thing. It wasn't his worst performance as a defensive coordinator. I mean, KOC on the other side of the ball, I think I wasn't huge on a lot of the play calls by KOC that game, just like you said. And our offense definitely was the one that wasn't firing on all cylinders for the most part. But we did go down there, and it's so hard because we're against a good team. Like, there's teams that you go up against, and you're lucky if you score 10 points, that's pretty good, So we still scored 24 points and beat these guys 24-10. I mean, this isn't a game where it's like it was. Like, this game, we were winning the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, other than the 3 points they scored earlier on, or you could say maybe in the beginning of the game, the first quarter of the game, they had more momentum. They had all that stuff. But ever since then, like, this game should have been even more. We should have won by even more this game. So it really is just another game that we beat this team up, actually. This Miami team, that is good. And it's a game that it looked like we should have won from almost start to finish, and we did. And there was hiccups, and they had a chance against us, and it definitely could have been a lot closer if Harrison Smith didn't make Waddle fumble. But it is football, and that's part of it, like turnovers, and we've been waiting to have these kind of turnovers, and it was finally the game where we got some of that in our favor, and that's something we haven't seen a lot this year, and it's to be expected eventually.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a huge win. It is a really huge win. It's not perfect. We still want to just dominate a team still, but 24-10, we only allowed them 10 points. We still scored 24 points on them.
Right. For sure.
We got to be pumped up with that.
Yeah. And obviously, talking about the offense, a lot of that, obviously it falls on the shoulders of Kevin O'Connell with play calling, as we both kind of had issues with this game. But one thing I do got to give him credit for is he's very open, and he talked a lot before the game and his post-game presser about what they did to prepare for this game. Obviously, we all saw the thermometers. Viking sidelines 30 degrees warmer than it was over on the Dolphins sidelines. I believe 120 to 90, which, I mean, either way, it's still warm, but that's quite the difference there.
Right.
And that's the one thing you noticed. There wasn't, I think they showed Za'Darius Smith at one point. I'm sure there's others we didn't see, but we didn't really have a lot of big-time players coming out for dehydration issues. Like Tyreek Hill had to leave for 1 second to go to the locker room, get an IV. And then he came back out, and he was in and out of the game a lot to try to recover and keep his breath. And you didn't see that a lot on our side of the field, which was really nice to see. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to the head coaching and training staff and stuff on that. It's good there. Let's jump into a few offensive stats here. Kirk Cousins, very, very efficient. Biggest play of the day, in my opinion. I mean, the touchdown throws were nice, but the biggest play of the day to me was a nice little shot to JJ for the big play there near the end of the game. Kevin O'Connell said they'd been kind of looking for that look because they knew it was going to come eventually. And as soon as he saw it, like they said, he said he cracked a smile on the sidelines because he knew we had this one. So, 20, 30, 175, 2 touchdowns. No one's really going to say much about that, but very efficient game by Kirk. Didn't turn the ball over, took his shots when he needed to, a couple. And that's the thing. With Kirk Cousins, we're very fair here. We're going to give him his credit and have him take his lumps as well. Couple, I don't know if it was play calling, but a couple of the throws, the checkdowns that we just probably he had a little more time, probably could have taken a deeper shot. Would like to see those convert for some first downs, be a little better there, but you'll take what you can get. A very efficient game out of Kirk. Delvin Cook, I was talking a lot of smack about him about halfway through. I said he lost a step, and then he breaks off that big run and scores. So
I text him too. You said he's lost a step, he's slower, and I said I said he's going to break one. Watch, and then he broke one.
Sure did. 53-yard touchdown run. You gotta.
Told you he was.
Other than that, didn't have a lot going for him. 12 carries for another 24 yards. But
it's football, man. That's all that matters. That's all that matters is that one play that you break out, and that can throw everything. Because there's players that's just what they do. He's not exactly one of them. Because he can do a little bit more than that. But even him, like all it takes is that one play for him to break out. And even in our other podcasts up to this game, our last podcast, I was saying Delvin Cook's gonna break one soon. Like he's so close to breaking one. He's getting foot tackled here and there, and then this is what happened. He broke, and not every running back's going to make plays like this. So
for sure. Then look at the receiving stats here. JJ, a really quiet 6-catch, 107-yard game. Obviously, a lot of it was that big shot near the end there. Adam Thielen, some may question, is he losing a step? I don't think he's the Adam Thielen of 2017, 2018. But we saw this is what he does. He makes a couple big catches. He got the pass interference called against him. The touchdown and the 2-point conversion catches were what Adam Thielen does in the red zone in that area of the field. There's not a lot out there better than him. Didn't get a lot of other guys involved. Obviously, Irv Smith caught the early touchdown pass. Other than that, not a lot of guys got involved in this game, unfortunately.
Irv Smith had that fumble. That was not really nice, which also wasn't the best play call on that play. But
yeah, Irv Smith did have the one fumble there as well. But, so offensively, a very efficient game, and they scored when they needed to, and you'll take it. I mean, obviously, and Kevin O'Connell, Delvin Cook after the game all said the same thing. We started out a little bit too slow. We can't have that, which I did want to jump into some deeper stats of this game and just kind of, offense. Yes, what we said at the end, they picked it up, but third down, 2 of 12 is just,
that was not good.
You can't have that. And obviously we didn't convert a first down until the second quarter. And then we had 4 conversions on that drive where we did end up scoring
24-16. I thought.
But this is not this is a game. I know you said it felt like we were really dominating them, but if you look at if you want to be a stats guy and look at that, we were not. They beat us 23 more plays than us, almost double the total yardage, in one less drive than we had on offense. The yards per play was a lot higher. They threw for a lot more yards than we did, but penalties.
I wouldn't say dominating.
Penalties were that big thing, especially as you mentioned earlier on that early drive, but.
I wouldn't say dominating, but it definitely, it was just our offense wasn't doing a lot, but it definitely just felt like we were winning this game throughout the whole thing. I mean, they scored the 3 points and we were ahead throughout the rest of the game. And it wasn't like they should have scored a bunch of touchdowns or anything like that. Our offense wasn't doing enough, but it's because of our defense. It was the game where our defense stepped up and they were putting pressure on Teddy most of the time. I didn't like the end, how we handled the end where we kind of let them come right down the field and they ended up scoring that one touchdown. And I mean, there's tons of their yards and stuff that came from just that one drive that we kind of just let happen. I get it. We're just trying to waste time and get the ball and be able to knee it out, which is exactly what we did. But I don't know. I feel like I think you should just end the game, come out, push them off. Don't let them score any points. You can come in then and you can waste as much time as you want. If they have one more chance, I don't know. I don't think that's the best way to approach it. I'd rather approach to bring heavy, even blitzes at the end, just put a stamp on the game. It's kind of a bitch move to me, I guess. I don't like that. But no, to me overall, it just seemed like that was we were going to be the team to win that game. It just felt just like the last 3 games. It just felt like we're going to win this game. And this one specifically, because we were never down other than the beginning. Even if their offense was definitely more consistent and did a lot better than our offense, but our team as a whole just felt better.
Right. But
because there was a lot of times we were in the 50-yard line, how many times to just go 3 and out, 3 separate times. Yep. It was just an offense. The game wasn't there.
Right. And again, it's been the same way all year long. It's frustrating to watch a little bit. But the silver lining of it all is you're 5-1, and there's tons of room to improve. The fact that you're still 5-1 with that much to improve, and you haven't played your best football yet, is awesome. The 2-game lead being clear of the Packers is huge as well. So things are looking up for this team. And obviously, as I said, you got the bye week, rest up, see what you can do better. The coaches have a long time to look at this type of stuff. And at the end of the day, you're going to take the 5-1 record, division lead. It's awesome. It's nice to see. And with how well some of these other teams in the NFL and the NFC are playing right now, just keeping up with them is fantastic. And overall, yeah, is there play calling stuff that needs to get cleaned up? Sure, but I like what to this point I like what Kevin O'Connell has done with just the team as a whole.
Yes, and you're right. You're absolutely right. Like we should all be pumped up to be 5-1 going into this bye. That's huge, no matter what. And like you said, just to know that we've done that, especially against, I mean, we beat the Packers, who isn't they're looking worse and worse. But a Miami team that's good. And, the other teams we probably should have beat easier. But to just know that we're 5-1, and there is so much room for improvement for this team that we haven't seen that full perfect game, other than the Packers was the best, but we haven't seen everything firing all 3 cylinders, special teams, defense, and offense. So there's a lot of room for improvement. And I mean, if we can figure that part out, I don't think there's much ceiling to where we can go this year. So
right, for sure. But otherwise, as we said, we're both pumped for 5-1. We want to know if you guys are pumped for 5-1. Let us know down in the comment section. We'll have some bye week coverage coming up this next week, and we'll see you guys next time on the GG Sports Podcast.
Skol Vikes.